August 18th, 2026. This is the monthly meeting of Hardwick Electric Department. In attendance is Jake, Miles, Reno, and myself, the commissioners, as well as Scott Johnstone and Renee DiGregorio, our controller. So we have a quorum. I love that. Does anyone have any changes to the agenda? Okay. Is any all in approval? You have to vote on the agenda?
No.
No? Okay.
Good.
Then we're going forward. No one from the public
No.
is here anymore, so no public comment. All right, action item, approval of July 21st minutes. Anyone have any comments to the minutes? I did not. In favor of approving the minutes, July 21st?
Miles, I'm going to put you as making a motion.
Fair enough. I'll second. All in favor? All in favor. August 10th minutes.
Just to note, this is a special meeting, just for the record.
Someone want to sign that, please?
Make a motion to approve the August 10th minutes from the special meeting.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Close. Budget and capital plan amended adoption.
We kept this agenda pretty light, just to make sure you had all the time you needed to ask questions and about both the budget and the capital plan for the rest of the year. And frankly, even though we put it under discussion, we figured you might want to weave the cash flow stuff into it, and totally fine from our perspective. So we've been through the last couple meetings where we were building towards this final document, hopefully a final document, but it can change if you want to. And so, you know, Renee can walk you through it again if you want. I don't think too much has changed. If you, are there any major changes that have happened that you want to highlight?
Nope. I would say the only thing that you probably noticed was the pending rate increase, the proposed rate. We adjusted to the 14%. I adjusted to the 14% before when we prepared this the first time. I didn't know, and I believe I had it set at 8%. So you'll see the impact there. But other than that, no other key drivers were adjusted.
And where do we stand with our rate case?
It was filed on Friday, so our 45-day window started Friday. So that lands us as services rendered after October 1st. So that would be on due date for bills November 1st, or December 1st, bills that generate November 1st.
Yep.
They will see the new rate case surcharge on their bills in November.
And how about our last rate case?
So I did reach out to the clerk. I know that we had talked last time, and I got please check the status on the EPUC website, and that's where you're going to find updates. So it was not helpful as we expected, but there's been no movement.
Okay.
No, we've talked about this at length again today. One of the things that Karen and I have been working on is trying to maybe time it that if we get the 25 rate case finalized by the end of September, we may be able to tie in the 245-day windows so that refunds are applied on November 1st bills at the same time that our new rate case is in effect. So that will really alleviate some of the cash flow. I mean, this all is dependent and contingent on when we get the ruling from the PUC. No matter what, at this point, you know, we've made the decision that the bills generated on November 1st and after will have the new rate case applied to them. So,
Can we pause for 1 second?
yeah.
You should probably want to grab your
Oh,
cord,
sorry.
for that, Mike.
I should do what?
You might
That's
want to grab your cord. The dog is laying on your cord.
That's okay. I can do it.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
You think you're okay?
Give me a look if it's.
I just don't want.
Thank you,
I don't want
Scott.
your microphone going flying.
Yeah.
So okay, go ahead. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah, so we'll continue to monitor that very closely, and as soon as we get, the information from the PUC as to when the 25 rate case will be finalized, I'll be sure to share that with you guys. But if all works out okay, the new rate case can be applied at the same billing cycles that we're issuing these refunds. Again, it doesn't completely diminish the cash problem that we're gonna face in November, but it may help it a little bit, and have less of an impact there. So really, if if we don't hear for a ruling until September 30th, then anything after that will be, the new rate case will be applied and the refunds will be applied on top of that, once the case gets finalized. So if we hear a final decision for the 25 rate case between now and the end of September, there will still be like 1 or 2 cycles where we will be issuing the refunds and not having the new rate case in effect yet. But we'll continue to keep you updated on that.
And if the new rate goes into effect and we haven't settled 25?
So Karen is working to figure out what the mechanisms are to have those doubles happen.
Yep.
I wouldn't say she's hopeful or unhopeful yet, she's researching. Is that
Yep.
fair?
Yes,
Would you
I think
say?
it's possible.
I think it is possible.
Just trying to figure out, what's the least impact to the customers, and what we can do there. So, but we're working on that.
So to my ears, it sounds like the timing of the settlement of the 25 rate case at this point causes office headaches, which are real, but it is not an operational crisis. Is that
That's where we're trying. I don't know that,
Financially,
but
it's the longer they do it, the better.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
we're-
yep.
Yes, so we're trending that way. I wouldn't say we know that yet, but we're trending
Okay.
that way, is the way I would put it.
Yes, yep. And
that
I'll
fair?
continue, I'll continue to monitor that and update as you guys all, as soon as I hear something, or, as we get closer to the September 30th date, we will have I can, project cash flow much better, depending on when we'll be able to issue those refunds. But yes, I think that's the plan forward right now. We want to settle the 25 rate case, but like Michael said, the further it gets pushed out, might be
The more we'll
the
owe,
best
but the
case
less
for
we'll
us. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
below initially.
Interesting.
yep. So, I'm happy to go over anything budget-wise.
I have a question on page 14.
14, yes.
Operating revenue, commercial, the proposed budget, and then the budget goes down with the rate increase?
Yes. I can look at that.
Because everybody goes
Yeah.
up because it's an increase, but that one somehow
Yeah,
went
we
down.
did, there was a customer change in there. Let me look at that, Michael, that's a good, actually, I can just pull up the workbook.
Was there a customer, I might be remembering, a commercial customer who transitioned to industrial?
Yes, there was a lot of
Or-
changes within
Okay,
those
so
two
Okay.
I was
classes.
remembering something along those
Yes.
lines
Yes.
that might be impacting that.
While she's looking for that, I'll just tell you, since we were talking about the rate case, that should expect therefore the state to hold their public hearing. It's usually at around that same 45-day period, so late September, early October. It's nothing you have to go to, and it's always virtual only. But you're able to, you can all be there. It doesn't constitute a quorum because you're not acting as a board. So you're allowed to be there. We'll certainly notify you. We have to notify every customer, put it in the paper, all those things. So expect that late September, early October. We won't know till like, it'll be at least a month from now before we know the date. The state will tell us. And then we have to very quickly get it in all of our billing cycles somehow in time. It's always crazy. So, just so you're aware, did you find it? Did I buy you enough time?
There's just, it goes back to the net metering net of this, and that's where I think my numbers got transposed there, but I can double check that.
Okay.
So frustrating. I actually looked at that too and looked for, yeah. I'm a bit of perfectionist, so I apologize about that.
Good catch, Michael.
So
Now,
what
when-
hearing you say is
1285.
probably right, but if anything, it's understated, which is good for a budget
Yes, yes,
on revenue, right?
yes.
Is that correct?
is, seasonal, commercial net metering.
Now, in a past budget plan,
Yeah.
there was a description of poles, cost,
Capital
and
plan.
capital plan. of 350,000?
That covers more than poles. That's a roll-up category, and I don't remember, you and I have talked about this.
Yep,
I don't remember all the
so,
things that go into that. Do you remember? Do you have it somewhere?
yep,
And,
This is pole replacement and pole inventory?
oh, the pole inventory was the Empower project
Okay, yeah,
to identify
thank you.
the whole when they mapped our whole system last summer, not this summer, but a year ago. You had Empower come in and map your entire system, basically
Yeah.
create a GIS layer of all the poles and wires and everything. So we're paying that over a 2-year period back to VEPSA? Or 3?
I thought it was 3.
I think it's 3.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that was like, I forget the number, it was a couple $100,000, so there's some piece of that number that is to pay for that, you know.
Okay.
Yep, and,
She probably has all that detail.
Yeah, just the idea of replacing poles because they're old or something like that is not a cost effective.
so,
We have a lot of poles to replace on our system for sure.
Well, I realize that, but just because they're old doesn't mean they're bad.
Not necessarily, if they're 1940s, they probably are reaching the point, it'll cost us
Now-
more to fix them in an emergency.
Has anybody talked to any of the other utilities that are on those poles, and will they go ahead and buy into them? Is one of the
Oh,
items
for, you
that,
mean consolidated?
as a joint owned and that
Yep.
kind of stuff.
Yep.
Somebody needs to do that. If
We have to
we're
definitely
double
have to-
setting,
We definitely have to talk to them about that, for
Yeah.
sure. On that front,
yeah.
before
If
we
we're,
do
if we're gonna spend that kind of money, could we go into a capital project?
it. That's what we're talking about doing.
Rebuilding a line in respects, new wire?
Yep, part of what we're looking to do is
Because I'm
to,
seeing poles all over the countryside.
so we want, yeah, right now, they've been doing a bunch of poles that they have identified that have been problematic or are going to be, the crew has.
I've seen a few that
Yeah, and.
probably
what-
should not have been.
What we want to get them to is to be picking those sections where they're doing 5, 6, 7, 8 poles and reconductoring and doing the whole thing. That's what we're trying to move towards. So the next 5 years, we're going to be mostly focused on that run from Woket to Hardwick.
And that's a direction I would think we should be headed.
Correct. So
Yeah.
that's where the intention is to head. This year, we're trying to find ones that are difficult. No, I haven't been going out with them, but,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Because I'm seeing poles on single-phase lines that,
you think are fine. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, in theory, you know, ops and working foreman should be coordinating on that when they're selecting what
Well,
pole should be done.
I'm just thinking of an expense factor that
Absolutely. No,
if
I'm
they're
with you.
good. And I also saw in here a pole tester
Yep,
for $25,000.
yep.
Why is that? Every lineman carries a screwdriver and a hammer to test
So
a pole.
it's not just a pole tester, it's also a data logger, but in today's world, we're required not to do screwdriver tests anymore. We're expected to use the equipment.
What function does a pole tester?
I can't even tell you exactly what it does. I just know that the way that we are expected to do it, the way that linemen are taught to do it now to meet standards, is to use this piece of equipment.
By OSHA?
Can't tell you if it's OSHA or where they go to school for their training. I don't know the standard, to be honest with you,
Yeah, I've just never heard of that.
I can
standard.
research it for you. I'm happy to do the
Just
research
thinking
and bring it
that's-
back.
It's
Happy
an
to.
expense.
It sure is, but it's also data loggers on there, not just the pole tester.
What kind of data do they get with the pole tester?
They're often they can pull any data off the lines we're looking for, but usually they're looking for voltage, is mostly what they're pulling, and making sure that our 3 phases are in balance, or that we know kind of what the voltage is because of additional solar, or a customer makes a request that can you handle a 400 amp service? We can toss data loggers out and pull in any data that we need for that particular application.
So these are 2 different items.
They're different items, yes, that's correct. And I don't know if there's other stuff in there or not. Do you know, is it just those 2?
sorry, I've been fixing this workbook in between for the, commercial revenue. So
Tools.
it was, yep, just the data logger. Yep.
And the poll tester?
And the poll tester, and then we just have radios, but that was under general.
That's
So,
different.
yep.
That was a different item. Yep. So we can get you more information on that, though, as a follow-up. Happy to.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
forgive me if I am overlooking something in the packet, but I was confused about the whole picture that we were being asked to either digest and or adopt or vote on. The capital plan, whether the 1.9 or the 1.65, seems absent from the cash projections. Except for scenario D, or yes, only scenario D, and that has 350 instead of the 1.9 or the 1.65, and it's only shown as a cash receipt with no corresponding disbursement. So I was confused.
There should be a material disbursement on that capital scenario in D for capital material. But I'm happy to,
Well, either way,
yep, nope, I think
if
that,
we're looking at and or proposing a plan for the remainder of 26, but then the cash projections don't include the CapEx.
Yep. So what would happen there is we would finance the capital. So we'd pull a construction loan to finance it while in progress, while it's work in progress, and then convert that to a long-term debt once it's done. So it wouldn't have a cash impact other than narrow timing as we drew down on a construction line of credit.
Okay, so
That's the plan. Is that accurate?
so
Because if I've got it wrong, speak up.
it's a lot to digest, like the whole big circle. So I understand that it's like, this is a lot. So we have to put the capital plan separate into our approved budget. Now, all of our capital work is gonna be contingent on financing and what we're planning for the year. So it does not hit our operating budget. That's the key distinguishment there. So you're looking at the capital plan separate and out, so it's really difficult. I really hate cash flow statements, just as FYI, coming from your controller, probably not the greatest thing to hear, but I just think there's so many variables that go into your cash flow that's really difficult to put into a spreadsheet and say, okay, this is where we're gonna be in November. So when you're the purpose of that cash flow exercise when you're looking at those 4 different scenarios is, one, my goal is to alleviate operating expenses that hit our operating budget. The only way to do that is to do capital work. We need financing to do the capital work, because when we go out and do all of our pole replacements, or we purchase radios or things that we can expense on our op statement over a much longer period of time, it will not hit our operating statement. So our net income or our net worth it shows a much different picture. When you pull in cash flow, well, that serves a different purpose. And so when you're looking at our budgeted operating statement that we're looking to get approved, you look at a net income value of a surplus. But then when you're looking at it into a cash flow perspective, it's much different, because your approved 26 budget does not have like the 25 refunds that we have to issue.
Well, I think the question's a little different, though, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think we just didn't show where the revenue is coming to pay for the capital. We didn't show that there is a financing to pay for that,
But the scenario there
I think.
is what we're projecting.
Sure.
If we can do the capital work, so we can get approval from you guys for financing, then we lower our operating expenses, so our net impact is much less. And we show that in the cash in, and then the material
So are
expense
you
out.
not showing any lowered operating expenses because of financing for capital projects in scenario A, B, or C?
So in the capital financing scenario, it does, because we have cash flow coming in for the labor that we will be having to do. So we're not expensing that immediately. So if we go out and do, you know, we say, okay, for the whole month of October,
Totally understand.
Yeah.
I'm just asking what is or is not included in these projections.
so in the capital scenario, there's so if we can jump into that if you guys want to jump into the. Yep, it's really, they tie together, yeah. I guess the biggest distinguishment when you're looking at the capital scenario is that we get a win for cash flow for labor costs. That's what you're gonna see in that scenario. That's gonna lower the impact to our operating statement, and it is sort of embedded in the ending cash balance.
Which scenario are you talking about?
The capital, the D,
Okay.
yeah, scenario D, yep.
So A, B, and C do not have
Correct.
any of the financing.
Correct. So if we cannot go out and do large capital jobs in the remaining months, then we will have no cash inflow for labor. That's what it's gonna solve, if we can do that, if we do a large capital job. And that will float us some cash flow for payroll, benefits, overheads, things like that. That's what you're gonna see in scenario D.
And I may have missed this, but that's, using additional, financing, not our current, like, line of credit
Correct.
that we're
Correct.
referencing in the previous
Yeah.
scenario A. Okay, so that's going out for a new, like you
Yep.
said, a new
In 2026, that would be a construction line of credit, so short-term
construction
finance.
converted to a
Towards the end of the
long-term.
year, once the capital project is done, then she would work to
Okay.
convert it to a
Yeah.
long-term debt, whatever, depending on the mix of the types of capital work, she has to map that to depreciation tables to get the right length of financing to map, if I understand what happens on the finance side.
Yeah, I'm still exploring the best method to finance the capital work. It seems like most utilities are using the method that Scott is talking about. If we could, you know, cash front it and do the work, like if we start the work in September, right? And we can get all the labor, we have the material and inventory, things like that, then I can just, when we close the jobs, go and get our financing
If we
and put the
don't
cash
need it,
back
we
in our
wouldn't-
bank.
We wouldn't do the short-term financing if we don't need it.
If we don't need it.
We've assumed
correct.
we probably would need it because we're starting out short of cash. But if it frees up
Right.
enough that we can float it through without doing it, then great.
So we're gonna use it out of our operating money to pay upfront for some of this.
We could,
could,
that's
one option.
yep. Yep.
I thought that's what you said we're gonna do.
No, it just depends on the timing of
Right.
what we decide to do, like how big of a job we decide to do, capital work, you know, we'd have to discuss that, and then
I thought scenario A, B, and C was not doing that.
it's
Definitely
not,
not.
we're talking
Great.
about, yeah,
Only D.
yeah. No,
Yep.
it's like, it's a
Sorry.
lot to
Yep.
wrap your head around, no, it's a lot. Yeah, so I'm happy to go through each scenario, and maybe that will,
And just to say it aloud, obviously, we think option D is the one that makes it most navigable to work through the cash flow issues.
That was my next question. That was not obvious to me. Okay.
Well, we've been sitting here kind of promoting it, so.
tell by the way you were talking about it.
Yeah, okay, so.
The psychologist student in
That's
me.
helpful to hear.
yeah, and I just wanna disclaimer this, that, I mean, again, cash flow projections are so variable. So I've done my best to try to narrow down like absolute fixed expenses that we have every month. You know, healthcare, gas, fuel, things that keep operations going. And so those expense numbers, I mean, again, it could change. We have onboarding happening, we have offboarding happening, so it's gonna be interesting to see how it washes out, but with close navigation, I think that it'll be pretty close.
Worth also noting, just so you are aware of it, that we're putting in place an additional approval for purchasing right now. Not to say that Renee and I are gonna say, no, we can never do purchase X, but it may be that to manage cash flow, that's 30 days from now, to manage cash flow, that's 45 days from now, or it's January 1, so that's, you know,
I would hope so.
Right.
so we're putting that in place. We've told the management team this morning, we'll tell the staff when we have a staff meeting. So just, it's not to be confused with, we're totally broke, we can't buy anything, you can't do your job. Of course, but if a line truck breaks down, it's going to the shop and getting fixed, right? But if
Yeah.
it's we gotta do some fiberglass work on the outside of it, that could probably wait till February, can't it?
And I think that message it's tough to understand, like, what we don't want them doing is maintenance for the whole month of September and October. It sounds odd, but like, we want them in the field
Yep.
doing capital improvement.
And
Be-
customer.
In customer work, yeah,
Yep.
we definitely want customer work, and that is gonna help the cash flow issue, because we are gonna be, we're gonna go for financing for all of those longer expense jobs that we can do.
Yeah, at least long term.
Okay, can I ask a few questions about, how if you're not doing capital work? You referenced the fixed costs, of course, we're paying healthcare. It sounds like we're gonna still be paying full-time staff, right? How does it work, like for my company, when we send our field team out, we're obviously billing that time, but they're also getting time and a half. How does it work if we aren't doing capital projects? You're saying maybe we're doing maintenance work, or we're doing stuff that's been deferred. Can you tell me more about that, like
Yeah.
mix?
So we expense it immediately on our ops statement. So, that's the big distinguishment. If we.
Expense what?
The labor cost, the overhead, the healthcare, all of it. We
Okay.
cannot, So if you have a customer job, or it's very similar with capital, it's a job. So we put all of the expenses with a work order to a job, and then we can accumulate the cost. Obviously, we're still running payroll and paying those bills, and that world doesn't stop. But at the end of it, we either are getting payment from a customer, in most cases it's paid up front, and it goes all to the job, and we do not see those expenses on our operating statement. So for capital, we would be able to look at the job and say, oh, we spent, $535,000 on material, labor, overhead, which includes benefits. We then can go to a finance institution and say, we did all of this improvement to our system. Can you fund this? And then we'll.
I guess I'm asking more just less on the number side, which I know is what you're focused on,
I know,
but
I'm sorry.
the more, no, are we literally, we're not an organization that if we don't have a lot of work going on, if we don't have jobs going out, we're actually reducing hours. We're still paying a minimum amount,
We're
right?
required by our union
Yep.
contract to provide hours.
So that kind of thing, we're not paying, it's not like if we do the certain jobs, we're paying time and a half. Those labor costs are fairly fixed underneath. It's just whether we're allocated.
Challenge is outages, right?
Outages, yeah.
We have
Right.
outages
Yeah.
at night, and that's time and a half or
Yeah.
double time
Of
depending on
course,
when it
but
is.
but that's just what it is anyway. So okay, and I guess I'm just trying to get a sense of, if we're not doing capital improvement projects, are we twiddling our thumbs? Are we
No.
doing maintenance?
Plenty of work to do.
Customer
there.
work is a
Well,
big piece.
If you, I think if customer work and capital is the
I'm
same, you're
lumping
asking
those
just
together.
about ops.
Yeah.
So there's always trees to cut, there's always, a guy wire to put back in,
Yeah.
there's always a mast arm to fix it, is not a capital project because you're fixing it, not replacing it.
Yeah.
He can give you a longer list than me, but there is no end of the work
course.
that needs to be done on the system,
I'm
so.
just trying to get a sense for what the
Yeah.
mix.
They won't be
is
sitting
if we-
around,
Of course.
looking for things to do.
Right.
No, there's always plenty of work to get
Yeah.
done.
Now, Morrisville used to keep a record of productive time
Yep.
as well as downtime,
Yep.
like rain, weather, and stuff like that, which does not go to any particular billing. Do we have that record here?
So, if they're having like garage time, we have 59301, which it captures all the labor that goes to that. That's what I would say would
Right.
be.
But
But
do
it's not
do we
like-
have a percentage, average what man,
No, I don't think.
productive, non-productive, as Penny used to? Yeah, and I forget what the percentage was, but that was,
Yeah.
It's low, because the other thing we tell all the crew to do, at least in Morrisville, and I gotta talk to Ryan, but what we do there is we put up a big whiteboard in the shop, and it's everybody's job when they're traveling to and from jobs to see things that need to get done and come back and put it on the whiteboard. And the lead linemen don't need to wait for the foreman to tell them to go do something if they have nothing to do. They go to the whiteboard and grab something and go do it, So, and I don't know, I can't tell you if we've actually implemented that here or not, but we need to. if we haven't, so.
Yeah, I mean, all of their, it's not downtime, but the time that they spend, you know, doing paperwork, or
Right.
it's a washout day and they're at the garage cleaning or doing maintenance, like it all gets
Yeah.
bundled into our 59301 expense account. Yep. And that is 100%, you know, that's backed by our operating revenue when we do all of
Another
those
piece that's gonna
expenses.
help us once we get going, which we're not there yet, so it's gonna still be 45 days or 60. But, you know, when we start working on installing meters, that's all part of a capital project through VEPSA. And so that's gonna pull
Yep.
time off as well, which is good.
Yep, yeah, I love
Doesn't show as,
capital work
it doesn't show
personally.
as our capital project because it's happening through VEPSA, who then is gonna bill us over the next few years for the cost. So it doesn't show up on the capital plan, it doesn't show up, it's almost like customer work, if you will. And VEPSA as a customer. It's kind
Yeah,
of a weird
it's a
scenario.
tough, yeah, so
Just so you're aware.
we don't see those costs expensed on our operating statement. So when you're approving your budget, we're not seeing those costs, it's getting all added to a job, and then we're getting reimbursed
From VEPSA.
with grant money
A lot
from
of Trevor
VEPSA.
and Glenn's time will disappear from our ops statement once we
And
get
that's-
going.
right.
Which will help
Yep.
us, part of every day in our office will, once we really get going as well.
We asked that question and Amber said she didn't know if off, I thought it would
Well, that's
totally,
insane. We'll have to have-
that's what I thought
We
too.
need to have a debate with that young lady.
Yeah, well, that's
It's
why we
obviously part of
flagged
the
it.
project.
Yeah,
How much of the AMI was funded through a grant?
50%.
50.
And then
So
the other 50, it's not really, VEPSA's not really financing it, but think of it as if VEPSA's financing it for us. So we'll pay VEPSA back, I forget, I think it's over 3 years. Once the project is done and closes.
the AMI
some-
grant, or the
How long
AMI
is it?
funding is 10 years.
Oh, 10 years.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
so
it
we'll
doesn't
get that
start
back.
until all members are fully implemented into, repayment doesn't start until,
Yeah. So it's about 50%. I think it was slightly under, and then they just got some more money, as we told you, from this other grant that needed to be redirected, so that went in. That made it more like 57 or 58%, but then everybody's costs are higher than the beginning, so that probably pulls it back close to 50. So I would just stay with about 50% for now, just to be, we don't really know the final number, is what I'm telling you. But it's around half.
And did I hear you say we could finish a capital project and then go get a loan for doing the work?
yes.
What kind of loan would that be?
So there's different funding mechanisms. I talked to Community National a bit, and I've talked to Union Bank a bit about this as well, but, not a lot of utilities have used what Scott is talking. I think you guys, more so, was it last year, was your first
We've
year
done
doing
it a couple
this?
times, because we're doing one again this year.
So basically, we go out for like a line of credit, like our line of credit is
Okay.
now, and then we draw on it as we have the expenses, and then we'll just convert it into a long-term note for the capital work. Very
It's a
similar,
regular bank note.
just a regular bank note, yep, long-term.
Sometimes 10, sometimes 15, sometimes 20, depending on
Yep.
what type of asset you're adding to the system.
Very similar to in 2024, there was a note that was taken on capital work. I think it was, it just encompassed like the roof at the garage and some, but it was labeled as 2024 capital work. And that was, it all got just tracked in a job, and then they went to Union Bank and asked for money for it. Yep.
Yep. So that would be the long term. Yep.
I don't have the deficiency study notes from a few meetings ago, or if we had materials on that, what portion of the capital plan here is checking boxes off from the deficiency study? Just.
So the-
Yep, so
You can definitely speak more to this,
we'll
but
just get back to the capital plan.
quite a bit.
So a lot of it, I mean, it's a very small drop in the bucket of what you're gonna see. We haven't even brought you the full study yet, Jake. That's why you
Right,
couldn't
that's
find
why I
it.
was like.
That's
trying
why
to
you
make
couldn't
sure,
find
I'm
it.
like, Did I see something?
I think I
But
just got the final
You told
updated
us a few
plan.
of the.
Yep. So, but like,
Potential
the
projects.
work at the Hardwick sub, those regulators are definitely in there. Transformer, upgrading transformers is definitely in there. Pole replacements, as we were talking, pole replacements from Wolcott to all the way to Hardwick, basically. And there'll be other lines after that that need to get replaced, so a lot of pole replacements coming up in there. Updating regulators, capacitors, breakers, they're gonna be all over the place in that plan. We're doing, it's not really in here, because we already had the wire, but the crews are doing some reconductoring further out in the system right now of stuff that's too small to meet the needs of current customers. but you'll see that in a future iteration. And, yeah, all that sort of stuff.
Pole replacement was a big one.
Yep.
It's a big one.
Yep.
I know we talked about that earlier, but.
Yep, I did. So really, there's overlap with all of it, but you're gonna see certainly more than $10 million worth of stuff we gotta do. So this is a beginning.
Sorry, I'm still not seeing the picture.
Yep. No, I wanted to go
You're
back to
advocating for scenario D,
Yep,
Correct.
but in scenario D, you're doing 350 of the 1.9 that you're proposing for the remainder of 26, is that correct?
so, yeah, so my main, yes, that is correct. The
Okay.
reason it's only 350 is because in order to follow this mechanism, because the financing contingency is a big piece of this. If the work has to be 100% completed and we do not go for this, for some reason, we do not get the financing that it's like a line of credit, which very well could be.
Absolutely.
This scenario was very much that the work was done in September. So you'll see the material or cash disbursements is a little bit higher than the previous scenarios. That would be capital material. So transformers, poles, the regulators, if that's the capital job we decide to do in September. And then the reimbursement, the cash flow from the capital funding would not be until the following month is what I was projecting there.
Okay, so then what I just said is not true, we are doing the work. You're proposing in scenario D, we do the work in the capital plan in 26. You're saying the cost is.
Portion of it.
Yep, borne out in the cash disbursements.
In September, because the
Yep.
costs have to
Yep.
accrue in September.
Yep,
Yeah,
okay. So the 1.9 is hitting in scenario D through disbursements and what else?
a small portion of the 1.9. I think that's where we're not
So what she
on the
did,
same
what I think she
page.
didn't include, and tell me if I got it wrong.
Yeah.
Is she was trying to demonstrate that we could get through that tight
Yes.
cash period.
This
So
low-
that capital project thing would continue to repeat as you went further
Yes.
out
And I was-
into October and November and December to do the rest of it. She just didn't include it here, because she was trying to show you we could stay in the black from a cash.
The
position.
cash receipt will continue, but where's the disbursement to cover this 1.9?
So there's a couple, this is why I hate cash flow statements. There's a couple things going on here.
can talk
One, I was trying to be realistic about how much capital work we could get done in September. And in order to get us through this really tight cash crunch, if we have to finish capital work in September to get reimbursed, then that is what I was projecting would be what we could complete in the month of September.
Great.
That's what I was trying to picture here. So,
If going forward, if she'd have put it all in, let me just try, if she'd have put it all in, you'd see additional disbursements, expenses and revenues dropping back in. It would only make those out months look better.
right.
Is that fair?
It
She was just
is.
trying to, I think what she was trying to do here is show you that we can get through November.
With doing
Based on
capital
what we
work.
take, the
Yes.
actions we take in September.
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
right, or
Yes.
have I got
I
it
was just
wrong?
trying to plug a number in there to show that if we do capital work and we plan on capital financing, then this is really what I suggest getting through this period.
And so just to explain why, my statement of why does it necessarily get better month after month? Because each month we keep investing that way going forward. You're, again, removing the labor expense from operating into
Correct.
capital, which then drops down positively to the bottom line
Correct.
for cash.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes.
It does, there still seems to be a mismatch, it's of much smaller magnitude, but I guess.
We weren't
There-
trying, so let me say it this way. She wasn't trying to match the cash flow projection with the budget,
No.
capital or operating.
Right.
And that's what's making
I
it
think
confusing.
there are two conversations, both of which I'm frankly having difficulty with. We're being asked to approve a budget, and we're looking at a projection associated with that budget. I'm concerned about both of them. If we jump ahead to the projection associated with the budget, there are multiple contingencies, and with those things being somewhat favorable, as you projected them, we're still at a sub 10K margin, which could be wiped out in a day.
Right. So we're gonna have to manage tight
Right. Yep.
to work through it. You're right.
I guess
You get it.
I think I need to be sold on this to to approve it, and I'm not currently, so, I mean, I'm
These
also,
aren't choices. These
I mean, the
just-
issue, Miles, is that, you know, because of the timing of when we have to do the refund and when the rate case comes in, it's like,
that's the killer.
approve it, don't approve it, we're gonna be in this cash crunch.
Right.
So I'm not trying to browbeat you into
Yep.
approving it, it's just, that's the reality. Like, we're gonna have this cash crunch or worse. You know, what she, so really this is an unfortunate way to say it, but I'm trying to be really blunt so we get it.
Please.
The cash projection she did is related to, but not aligned with the budget document. She was only trying to show you that we can take actions in September that will, on the capital side, that will allow us to survive the cash crunch created by the refunds and the rate case.
Right.
That's what she was trying to show you.
Yeah.
It's related, but it's not the whole piece. I don't know if that helps or doesn't.
It absolutely does. It's a good explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the crux of the conversation is what are all the strategies at our disposal to make this, as, reduce the discomfort.
And again, these aren't choices. These are what happens if.
This could happen,
Yeah.
yeah. This all of, it's just, there's so many variables
Yeah.
that could be factors
Yeah,
during
so
this time
in-
crunch.
Let's say scenario D, we're using a portion of our line of credit, but we have a remaining 145, I think, available currently for contingencies. Is that correct?
From the line of credit,
Yeah, like what I'm saying,
Yep.
I'm going into what
Yep,
are
scenario D.
the,
Yep.
the
So
kind
there-
of, oh crap, so
yep.
you have additional line of credit funds. It sounds like, I mean, one thing we don't like doing, but we've done in the past is, paying, VEPSA for power supply costs on a more extended period.
We did not project further extending people
Yeah,
as part of this. In fact, she and I talked about not including it. That's the,
Good.
that's the remaining arrow in the quiver. I don't like using vendors as a second bank, but if we have to for a month, that's what you do.
Yeah, so in scenario D, we would have a remaining 199,000 of line of credit availability. If,
199.
yes, so we have 399,000 available right now.
Yeah,
So in scenario D, that does not eat up all of what is available.
right.
So
If
that,
If 8,000 turns into negative 38.
We're
you-
fine.
You pull another 46,000 off of that.
yes, I was trying to keep these, cash flow projections as simplistic as I
Yes,
possibly
100%.
could, and maybe that overcomplicated things.
No, it makes sense. Just we want to know, or I want to know, is what are the last resort levers that we
Correct.
have, and is that going to put us in a stickier position longer term?
So I think the arrow, or the quivers in our arrow, or however Scott will say this,
Not
but.
everyone likes that, because not everyone knows what a quiver is. So
Yeah.
I realize that's a dated
So
reference,
I
sorry.
think that there's several things that we have to be monitoring and looking at throughout this time period. One, for scenario D, it sounds like you guys are all on board that when and if you approve the capital projection that we are planning, that's a part of the 26 budget, we will start doing those capital projects in September for hopefully financing reimbursement in October to get us through that time period. That's what I'm trying to show here. Because if we don't do the work in September, then we won't have the cash flow to support us through that time period using the capital planning. That's what I'm trying to show in scenario D.
Yeah, I'm concerned about that because it's an if for the institutional financing to come through when it seems like our cash flow problem is like a week-to-week problem. And I wouldn't say that financing is a week-to-week guarantee.
So that is where, that's where if we get the 26 budget approved, that the capital plan goes along with that. I would then start immediately working with finance institutions about what's the best way to fund our capital projects. We want to start in September.
Right, so that would, I don't think it would be prudent to do any of those capital projects without commitments on that financing.
No, I
up
totally
front.
agree with you. Yep.
That's why she's already-
I totally agree with you. Yeah, yep. This is just, we're trying to just show that this is what we're coming up with to get us through that time period. The other factor at play is, the timing of the 25, like we talked about earlier, rate case settlement date. So if that can piggyback, this moves things several months down the road. And we wouldn't see impact until November or December, and it would change, the numbers
That
drastically.
gets better because then the new rate goes in place with
Right.
service rendered beginning in October.
Right.
So more money starts coming over the waterfall before that gets reconciled, right? So that timing, if it happens, that's why it helps us,
Yep.
you know?
So I think the key factors here are why we're presenting the capital budget and the operating budget, is so that we can, get the work started to get capital financing in place to get us through
So
these
so
time
if I look
periods.
at scenario D, September 30th, we
Yep.
have $258,000. And then October 1st, we have
Ideally, yeah.
$608,000,
Yep,
which is the $350,000 capital project if you add it in.
Yes.
Because how did we get from 258 to 600 the next day?
yep, so we have, beginning cash,
Why is the beginning cash 258, not
right.
608?
Yeah, let me,
Is that right? It's the ending cash balance, I think, plus the capital inflow.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
right.
what makes the total, I'm just wondering.
yep,
It
yep.
won't happen,
But are we
It's just-
doing it twice? Do we,
No.
because we have the 350 down here, and then you have the 350 added up here. And I didn't add these numbers up, but.
I'm good at math in my head, that works perfectly.
Yeah, I know, I had changed the month, remember we had talked about getting the capital financing not in September, I know it works, I just must have not changed that formula there.
No, it's okay. I get it. All you've done is you've assumed that if you expensed it, that material and equipment in September, that the inflow from the bank for the capital project happens October 1st. And therefore, the beginning cash balance is
Yeah.
608,000.
We can get it, yeah.
That's the assumption you
This is
made.
capital project 350, is that the bank money?
Yes.
Correct. That's
But then you
inflow.
added the bank money also on the top, beginning cash balance.
Yeah, but it doesn't add it in the bottom number,
Yeah.
is what we're
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
yeah. Because originally, we had talked about the capital funding coming in
Yeah.
as we were expensing it in September, and that method would be with the line of credit, the construction line of credit method. I moved it, just out of the sanity of, I don't think that we'll have our ducks in a row to be able to get the funding in September. So I shifted the number over and then just didn't adjust the top number for the formula.
Yeah, but it's a little misleading, because this capital project looks like an expense, not an income, but you're saying it's an income.
That is a
Capital
revenue.
projects.
Yep,
I mean,
yep,
It's a capital project reimbursement,
Yeah.
and then the top should probably say 258.
correct, yeah, I just had shifted over and
Yeah.
didn't change that formula.
Otherwise, it's
Yep.
like, well, where'd that come
I
from?
get what you're saying.
Yep,
If she brought the 258 over and then she added the capital project line as a revenue, then your math would be the same, but it would show
Right.
more cleanly.
yep, yep,
Is that what you're saying, Michael?
Yep.
Okay, just trying, I restate things a lot to make sure that I get it. Particularly with numbers.
And the only one that shows FEMA funds is D,
right.
which is
I-
a possibility that could happen in D.
Yeah, and we just, I didn't seem like my feeling from the last meeting was not hopeful that we would get that funding, so I just kind of did one scenario with it and didn't add it in any of the others.
Hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Yep,
Exactly.
Yep.
If it shows up, that's a beautiful world.
Yeah, I mean, my only gap with the capital project with scenario D is just seeing or feeling like we can sustain this 350,000 every month for the next 5 based on the, cause you're 1.9, if we're doing 350 a month, we're looking at that about 5 months on here for capital projects. So that's my only gap, is that I like the idea of doing it at September, getting the revenue in October. My question is just whether we're keeping that up.
I
All
don't
the
think
way
that's
through.
how it would, like, the building, for example,
Yeah, then that's out.
yep, that'd be a wash, yep.
So there's not $1.9 million
There's not a
that
cash
we would
impact to
do
that.
with our crew, so the building would come out of that. And
Oh,
then,
part of that, yeah.
you know, to
Okay.
the extent D&K gets started, I just got a consolidated proposal from them. I think it's unlikely that they're gonna actually spend 311, but that's not our cruise.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
basically a wash.
Okay,
So-
then
so the- you know,
forget it.
take-
I lumped the
It's like
kind of.
1.2 of the
Yeah.
1.9
Okay.
is others, if you wanna think about it by others.
Thanks, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of lumped it all as
Yep.
the same type of work as September.
Totally understandable.
So are you showing almost all of it? And I'm potentially saying not all of it, but almost all of it, of the work done by us, you know, in the entire capital plan is in September.
No, because there's about 700 and change total, because you also have to back out the radios, that's by others, you gotta back out the 50, that's by others. So there's probably about 700 of it, I'm doing it-ish, like I do, that actually is capital work we do. And even that's less than that because of that poll item includes, I think it's like 70 or 80 or 60 grand to pay for the data stuff that was done. So, well, most of that first 700, except for the poll inventory piece, is us. And then, that's it.
So we do it, then we go get a loan for it to cover it.
Yep, so it's actually less than 700. So 350 is about half, is more than half of it, Miles.
Okay. But we've secured the terms of that loan ahead of doing it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the lead time is on a transformer.
We do have some in stock, which this will go to the ops manager to convey to me what the plan is, but my ticket is labor. Whatever they're doing for capital work, we need to have labor. That's where you're gonna get the cash frontage, to help us with this.
We can look at, one, transformers have a pretty long lead time still, so if we make a big order now, when's it showing up? That's one question, is it even gonna show up in time? Two, we like to have a stock. We don't necessarily have to have as big a stock as normal, so we can look at, project what we usually really, really, really need. I'm looking at you because you know. And then we like to have a stock for customer project. Keep in mind, any transformer goes out on a customer project, they pay for. So we front the money and then we get paid back for it, right? Or at least that proportional share if we put it back in the stock, that whole thing. But, so even the transformer thing is not all on us. In fact, most of it usually is not. Most of the transformer cost tends to go out in customer work. Not all, we have transformers below, right? So, to be fair. So, and we might be able to do less than the whatever the number is, the 150. I don't know, I have not talked to Brian and Ryan about, which size transformers we're light on. The bigger they are, the more expensive they are, the longer they take to get, right?
What's the time frame for the engineering work? How many months?
That's probably like a 6-month
Yeah.
deal just to get their work done.
So that's gonna get spread out a little bit.
That won't get 100% complete this year,
And
even if
that
they get going.
is FEMA reimbursable.
Yep, that would become
Yeah.
FEMA reimbursable, but, so that would be good.
And servers? We
Yeah,
need
so
servers.
that is happening.
So the servers, we have 2 servers that are emitting electrical smells. So we've ordered 2 servers, and with all of the stuff going on internationally, and the chip shortage, and servers have gotten stupid expensive, so that's what they are. We've got the quote.
What are these servers for?
There's, one is for the payments for UPN, or database, and one is for all of our customer data.
I thought we paid that to
They'll be wheeling these servers in for us. So these
Yeah,
are,
they'll
we
do the
have
IT
on-site
piece of it.
servers.
Yeah.
to
We do
run
not have a
for-
cloud-based
Because we have Meridian, we don't have a
enterprise
cloud-based
system.
enterprise system,
Why?
because we haven't upgraded it yet.
Yeah.
And now we can't because they just got bought. So
By
they're
NIST.
waiting until a company called NISC, until all that happens, and then they're gonna bring over the Meridian Cloud people first, and then they're gonna bring the legacy server users over second. So we're not in the first tranche coming over. So I'm guessing we're 2 to 3 years away from any migration of that sort. So we gotta we gotta get through, I'd be shocked if it was less than 3.
Yeah, it doesn't
years.
seem like it would be.
It won't be fast,
It's
so,
looking like it's more 5 to 7 years
Yeah.
before it's a
be a
migration into
while.
NISC.
and we can push for that as soon as we can, because it's kinda crazy.
Yeah,
And the good news is almost every muni, not every single one, but every muni larger than, say, 2,000 customers is migrating to this NISC anyway. We were gonna be an outlier. So,
yeah. Yeah, there's definitely, real efficiencies to gain once we get into a new
yeah.
enterprise system.
What's our redundancy on those ones that are smelling?
So the problem is that they're 100% not supportable January 17th of 27. So BEPSA is telling us we do not have an option. We have
He's
to
saying we
get,
back them up today. Do you have backups? Do you-
oh, I don't
That's what
think
he's
so.
asking you, I think.
Yeah,
I think Karen has a book in her drawer with
Yeah.
his names.
no,
I'll have to check, but I'm sure
yeah,
we.
sorry, I
pulled tapes on
misinterpreted
them.
that question,
I
yeah.
don't 100% know that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, that, as a customer, as a commissioner, I'm concerned about what you just
That's what
described.
will not be allowing us to not have backups.
Okay.
And they mandate your protocol, so, I mean, I have to check with Karen,
I
but
don't think.
I will be
yeah.
stunned if we don't have
There's,
backups.
there's like a disk backup that happens, but I think we only save it like a week at a time. It's not,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not, it's like, they literally go downstairs and change
So
the
you
disk
guys
and they
in
pull it
business
out.
don't know the problems. Others do
Yeah.
it much more frequently than that, so we'll have, maybe we'll update that.
That's
Yeah.
the old days.
This is the stuff that I think I've learned from Miles to say, VIPSA needs to be here for us with this stuff, and I'm hearing that they dictate it, but and I know it's hard, but the technology side, like the IT, I know it's complicated, but you can spin up new
Yep.
cloud servers really fast. I know I'm making it sound easy. The people on my team at work are much better at it than I am, but VEPSA should be here for us in this way, I think.
They have been, they got us the quotes.
They did.
They're
Okay.
making the order, there's a lead time to get them in here, and they'll put them in. The function of taking, whether it's nightly or weekly backups, that's always kind of a local, customer support team does it sort of function. It's, whether it's a tape or a disk, it's not hard to do. Like, we can do that locally.
Right, and I don't personally see our function as needing to look over your shoulders, for business operations, but our track record is that whenever Hardwick does something in a special way, it comes back to bite us. And this sounds like we're doing it in a special way in 2026, so I'm definitely skeptical. Like, I wanna know that VIPSA is thinking critically about this. If they said, I get that they say we had to spend this money, but that seems crazy that we're bringing in 50 grand worth of hardware.
They've been telling everybody that's on server base still for years to get off them.
Great, so, but you're also saying we can't get off them.
Well, but now we can't, it was only like 7 or 8 months, not even that this merger happened. Like, we were actually talking with them about the options that we had when it kind of cratered.
Yeah. And to convert to their cloud-based product was gonna be extremely expensive, and at this time, like Scott had mentioned, it was pre-merger, and to explore NISC the timing just was not in our favor. So just we couldn't, and now we're gonna have
So we
to,
got pinched.
yeah.
Okay. I guess I trust you guys. I understand that this particular vendor is not in the cards in a favorable time frame. I guess my ask directly would be, before we buy 50 grand worth of new servers, can we triple check with VIPSA there are no other options?
We'll triple check. I think there is no other option, because no matter what vendor we go with, these migrations are measured in years.
Okay.
Having experienced a lot of these migrations, I know she did the same thing for the state.
Yep.
So limping, when they're making electrical smells,
Yeah.
so, I mean, we will double and triple check with
I think
Kim.
business continuity is
Yep.
the name of the game here, which just sounds like,
We definitely should be. If we're not doing, like every night or 2 backups, we should be. So I will
It might be
we
every
will check
3
on
nights,
that.
but we go over it. So like the next 3 days, we'll wipe out, like, it's not,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's how it works. They
You just
do.
usually have 2 or 3 sets of.
Right,
discs, so
it's the
they're
same
always
data, just, yeah, refreshed,
That's what we
yeah.
used to do 20 years ago.
Yeah, no, exactly, the whole
Yeah.
disk thing kind of blew my mind, yeah.
Yeah, so then, just before we replace that hardware.
Yep. I'm with you.
Yep.
And it's expensive. So,
Yeah.
it was definitely not anticipated, but all of a sudden,
50,000.
Start your smoke.
It'll be another 100,000 to
Right.
switch over to the other
Yeah.
one, so.
it'll be
Yeah.
more than that.
Yeah, so it's
I
almost.
think one night I
You can
came,
expect something like 250,000 to
right,
migrate.
she seemed like it, yeah, it's a lot.
That's what the number I just got in Morrisville. I just signed a contract to do it in Morrisville, and it's a 2-year transition from the time you get to the contract. It takes about 6 to 8 months to get to a contract, and then about a 2 to 2.5 year transition.
This is for operational systems. This isn't grid management, this is office.
This
General
is-
ledger and
so it's-
customer.
That's,
It's finance, customer, field ops.
Yeah.
It's an enterprise system that can do
Yep.
everything. Yep.
okay,
But it's not grid management.
Yep.
That's a SCADA system, which we're working with Epson currently.
right,
That's coming also.
yeah. Okay,
We'll be in a second group of utilities working on that. Epson picked the utilities that were the most SCADA ready with the equipment that they had in the field. Like, we have to update our subs and add some breakers and reclosures that actually have the technology built in to actually attach to SCADA before we can do it. So, but a few others already have made those investments and are ready to go. So they'll go first, plow the ground for us, and then we just get to add on to the system.
so Scott, you've been around the block, good years and bad. This is also just like a post Hyde Park, Vermont. What do you think of this plan?
I think this is the best plan we have. I wish that the timing with I wish the refunds were smaller. I wish the timing worked better. I think she's shown about the worst case scenario for timing. I think in every case, like, we've tried to keep the things that could go our favor away from us in projecting this. So my instinct is that we'll be able to outperform this. I think the biggest risk is the timing around, can we actually have the finance in place by October 1, which means you're probably gonna have at least one special meeting to make sure we can get the approvals for all that. And then we need to get them to do it too, so that we can actually deliver that in time. So we're gonna have to make that a priority. If everything on the timing of the rate case pushes a little bit, like she was saying, then that buys us more time to get this in place, right? So that could play our favor. But if we really do need it in place by October 1, that's the piece we're gonna be humping on. That's what I would say. And then, as I said, we then have to put a bunch of, in addition to everything we just have been talking about, we have to put some operational controls in place to make sure that, particularly she and I have really deep insight on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis on the decisions being made and make sure they align with this.
So we're hoping to get the loan October 1st, all the paperwork to a point where it's, but we
So
want to
that
do
she
the work
can
in
start doing
September.
reimbursements, correct.
Is there a reason we have to do the work in September?
Otherwise,
depends.
all that expense all drops onto ops and makes the bottom line worse. So
Right.
September looks worse
And it-
going into October then. That's the only reason, Michael.
Yeah, it depends on what type of financing strategy we do use for our capital jobs, which hopefully it'll be, if we can do a construction line of credit, that would be much more, cash acceptable. But if we have to do a mechanism where the work needs to get done in September, financing approved, but the reimbursement cannot happen until the work is completed, then we would get what we can get done in September and get the supportive cash flow.
So you're saying some of this is coming from FEMA?
This would be all, just our system capital
Just
work.
ours, okay.
Yep. I mean, if we can get FEMA approval to happen and reimbursement to happen in
That 100
October, November, that would be
That
fantastic.
183 can drop on our head from
Yeah.
FEMA through the state to us.
Right.
As we understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've not made the last couple of calls, but it's essentially been approved all the way through.
Right.
And we're just waiting for the state to forward the money.
Yep.
And
It's, yeah, it's in congressional approval, so, every time we're on the call, a week ago, they said it would be 2 weeks out, and then it would go to the state.
And the
firm to
state,
issue
if
us the
you
money.
squeal really hard, usually it takes them at least a month to flip that. They like to hold it longer than that, because then they have the benefit of having cash flow themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But if you tell them like, we're in deep crap, they can flip it quicker. They can flip it in a month.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've done that once. Not here, but in a different location.
Oh, good here.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can, is the
You're
point.
going here.
And Miranda, who is our state person, is very attentive to that.
Yep.
If we have a story to tell that we are really getting screwed on cash, she'll take that up the chain, and she's been pretty successful at that in my experience.
So if something happens and we can't do the work in September,
Yep,
are we essentially looking at scenario A? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes,
yep.
yes.
So tight for multiple months then.
Yep. And then are you using the line of credit to cover ops to a greater extent? Is that,
Yes, this would be, yeah. Yep.
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 so if something happens, because we have a finite amount of labor to allocate, we can't do the work, and that blocks the financing timing, we land in scenario A, in which case we don't have any good levers left to pull.
We still have the AP lever, which
Good levers.
no one wants to use, but we'd still have it. Businesses do it every single day. And it's never one I want to use, but we still have it, right? Just to say it out loud.
I think the missing thing from this table is, I just realized is, at the end of January, what is line of credit left? Because it looks at the numbers look, oh, well, at the end of January, it's 108 versus 113. I think in this one, we've used up more of the line of credit.
Yeah, so at some point.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's really not the same.
At some point, you get enough cash that you start
You start-
restoring the line of credit. You
Right.
start
Right.
diminishing it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it at 100.
No, but I'm saying, when you get to this point, we should know how much line of credit we've used or have left versus this one.
We would have none.
You have none.
Yeah,
Well,
it would be
yeah, but you
very
don't know that
close to
from
none.
this.
No,
I guess you could find it out if you look at the use
No,
of line of
it's
credit.
just a large versus partial, and that's why I'm saying scenario A is quite concerning, because there's no.
Well, yeah, because using 350,000 of the line of credit.
Right.
Yeah.
Here
have
you're
about
only using
four.
200,000.
Yes.
Right.
No, scenario D, there's still a good lever to pull.
Excuse me.
There's that 199 remaining.
That's right.
Yeah,
If we're blocked from scenario D and land in A, we're in trouble.
Right. That's right.
Only other scenario would be, could financing doesn't work for October 1st. Do we still have flexibility in the crews and whatever to bump the capital projects to happen in October for November 1st?
Yeah,
Okay,
so that- yeah.
just so that, you know.
And it can, I mean, depending
And
on our,
the other thing in scenario A that could happen, again, and she rightly didn't count it, so let me say that first again, but in scenario A, you could have the FEMA funds drop.
Lots of good things can
Right.
So, yeah,
So,
100%.
but in the worst case scenario,
Yep.
yes, it's really squeaky tight for multiple months. And we're playing which bill do we pay this week,
Yep.
you know? You're into cash is king mode, right?
Yeah, and I guess with your financial controls that hopefully we're implementing, immediately, anything that's preventing you from doing that capital work, you see it coming to some extent, and you're exercising those controls.
That's right.
Okay.
the faster we could get a few large projects rolling, financed, backed, then the better off we are, absolutely, yep.
Yep.
Yep. And, another big piece of this, like Scott had mentioned earlier, was our smart meter implementation. So that, right now, the method is, we are doing it quarterly. It's our discretion on how often we can do the reimbursements, so we can change to monthly. And we basically send VEPSA a bill for all of the labor and material that we had to purchase for the smart meter and DCU implementation, commissioning, all of that. And they're turning around and issuing us a check back to fund cash flow for that as well. It's just really hard. I thought out of the last meeting, we wanted to try to be as firm as possible on things that we knew were happening. I just don't know when we will be able to go live with the smart meter. So best case scenario, we are in, we're mass deploying in November and December, and we're getting cash flow from all of that capital work from BEPSA.
I think we did a great job being conservative in the scenarios you're projecting.
There's just, there's so many variables, and I mean, I'm not even confident now in the refund timing for October and November because of what we've, what has already transpired in just a couple of weeks. I was largely running under the assumption that we would have a case settled by September 1st, and I'm losing more and more confidence on that every day. So if we don't have a case settled until September 30th, then we really don't see impact until November and a little bit of December. So it's just,
Buys us more time.
yep,
Yep.
which is good for capital financing purposes. So, and we are having a staff meeting in a couple weeks, but we are already, like Scott had mentioned, giving the message out, like, today I got a bunch of material invoices. Okay, that's fine. Let's get these done. And then going forward, let's not do a twin state order for a couple of months, things like that. Just having more of that open door communication is what we're moving towards. And I think that we will be successful in mitigating a lot of the expenses that we're having right now. Again, it's just those fixed ones like healthcare and dental and gas and
That's gonna happen.
things like that, union dues. Yep.
That stuff is gonna happen.
Yep. But yeah, so we can get the capital plan approved. That doesn't approve financing, obviously. Then we can take that to, I can take that to our lenders and do some shopping around on how we're gonna finance the work over the next couple of months.
Yeah, I'm also curious how much we've looked into January and beyond, because we're talking about quite a bit of debt service that is not showing up anywhere.
So we have not done any modeling on that yet. What I can tell you is, some of what's coming out of this fiscal health initiative from the state is gonna mandate that we get a debt to equity ratio of 40%. And we're way below that. So they're gonna be pushing all utilities to take on a lot of debt the next 5 years, which on the one hand, we're all gonna go, why? But to get a rate case approved, that's what you're gonna have to do. When they approve our rate case, it's gonna have all kinds of criteria that we then have to meet. So just be aware of that. Because that's what's coming. And so that doesn't diminish the question you asked. What it means is we've got to start modeling out, because the way the state rules work for financing, honestly, you got to borrow a little more each year than the last. If you try to borrow a quantum amount more, you run into all kinds of new regulatory hurdles.
Yeah.
If you expand it slowly over time, you can actually get there in a pretty elegant way, and we need to model that out. Been mostly waiting to get the final deficiency study so we can build an actual 5-year capital plan for you, so we can start mapping that out. And show you how that will grow over time and how the state rules can work for us instead of against us.
The one thing if we go forward with the purchase of the building,
Yep.
what's the time frame of getting it ready for us to move in, and how much does that cost?
Did you say again? I'm sorry.
What's the time frame of getting the building ready for us to move in there?
Yeah.
And how much does that cost?
The timeframe can be, once we own it, whatever we want, unless we hear we're gonna be evicted by a date certain, which we have not heard. So if we wanna wait on that till December to make things ready, we're in buildings today,
Right.
right? So unless and until we hear there's an eviction date, we can sit tight and wait on any costs up there. I don't think it's a lot of cost to move in. The only things we've really talked about firmly is the need to create a vestibule as you go in the office door to separate the staff from the customers, which is a couple little 6-foot walls, on a temporary basis, and maybe a hole through another wall to pass money back and forth through. Literally, we could build that ourselves with our crew. Beyond that, we could, it's the labor time to move everything up there, but the other larger cost could be, what does it cost to move all of our IT system up there?
Yeah.
We currently have Velco internet piped right into this building, and we gotta understand what that would cost. My dialogues and other utilities about running fiber with Velco, and I don't wanna say this is a promise, but they really want more insight with utilities. And so generally, they're pretty bullish on wanting to help to a great extent with the cost of having fiber.
We've got Velco internet for a retail fiber for our operations.
I think into our network, so that all the backflow to VEPSA can happen back and forth.
Okay.
That's all Velco fiber.
Yep.
But that now needs to go from here to there, if that's where our office is gonna be. So we need to time that piece, but I actually think it's likely that Velco will pay an awful big piece of that, because they wanna be connected.
Yep.
And they know skate is coming, and they wanna, they understand we're not gonna let them operate our system, but they wanna be able to see it. And so if they wanna see it, they have to help us build it out and pay for it.
So they, will provide the material, we'll do the labor ourselves?
That's what I suspect the deal will end up being, and we've not got that far yet, but, I'm actually talking with them, I'm getting a meeting set up with them, I've had a couple of preliminary discussions, but, Morrisville's one of the more SCADA ready, and we've already had a contractor design a whole SCADA loop to every piece of equipment we have, and they wanna talk about doing that project for us in the ways that you're talking about. Where we go string the line and they pay for the fiber. So I don't have that deal done, but once we have that, then we know we can replicate it here, right?
We ran local here, and I also did in Morrisville for that connection there as well, too.
Yeah.
So we haven't done any formal surveys of the building yet, have we? Like, is the roof okay?
So what we're doing I'm hiring a building inspector, electrical inspector, getting, so I've got calls out to people that have been recommended to do that work. So no, they haven't happened yet.
So there could be some, I don't know if we can roll that into the cost to get the mortgage, okay? Because the stuff always pops up.
Either that, or we'd have to figure out how to front it and then use proceeds from over here, one of the two. We gotta figure that out.
Which was the second half, is what's the timing we think on the building next door?
Haven't heard boo.
Other than they want it bad, we've heard.
Yeah, have not heard boo from the town on that.
Just that the select board was generally in support of the project. I was texting with her,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was.
No, but that's different than the deal is papered.
No, yeah. I didn't push her on text.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
We continue to get very strong assurances.
Yep.
So, that's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
They don't want to just put up for sale.
Huh?
Yeah,
Right, do we have any sense of the value? Do we get any feedback at
We've
all?
hired a commercial appraiser to get an appraisal on that building.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll see.
But the net of that building becomes money we could use any way we want.
Correct.
That would be something that would help this out. That's a
Yeah, it would.
drop in, yeah.
But not, again, to me, the more we talk, the more it seems like, if we land in scenario A, my question is, what does January, February, March, April look like? It's like a month-to-month issue with no line of credit left.
Yeah, so, we don't have, all of the total cash disbursements included power costs and like BEPSA bills. We just haven't budgeted for those periods yet, so I just didn't have a confident answer on what that would look like. But I'm happy, I'll hopefully gonna start developing the 27 budget here in the next month or so. I'm happy to, try to work that into the forecasting.
If scenario A is what happened, and we didn't continue to do, when we did no capital work, and all of these conditions, including not getting FEMA funds, continued, we would continue to have significant trouble, and it could get dicey. Because remember, wintertime, power supply costs go up, and it's a lag to actually collect it. So it would be problematic. I have a hard time seeing scenario, I have an absolute real ability to see scenario A happen for a few months. I don't personally see that extending 6 or 8 or 10 months, because there's so many cautious tales in there that could definitely happen in the short term, but I don't think I think they would reconcile, Miles.
Yeah.
Can I guarantee that? No,
No.
I cannot. Experientially, some things would break our way.
And the split into early 27, realistically, of when we're gonna see the full impact of this capital plan?
Didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
How much of it?
We're not gonna do it all in 26.
I think the 700,000 that our crews would be working on, I think we could. Whether, I don't think all the generation engineering will be done.
Right.
I do not believe that. The servers and radios will be done. So really that 311, some of that will be done. But I do think we could realistically do the rest. Can we, as I said earlier, if we wanted to, can we nip and tuck those transformers a little bit and, keep some of that down? To do as much capital as really helps us get over the hump, but not more. Yes, we could do that sort of stuff. So it's also, the other piece of timing here is, we had a real slow start on customer work this year, which also didn't help us. That has picked up some. We actually have some good customer work right now. So that walks, talks, and acts just like capital work, right? Because that money's going somewhere else. So she hasn't, I don't think she's really blown that in here.
Nope, I did not.
So that's another piece that helps us. And how long will it last?
Yeah.
Usually there's a flurry right up in through late October, and people are pushing us to go into the hunting season. And so usually you got everybody trying to get closed in for the winter.
It's better than the capital work, because there's not the financing backside.
Correct.
Yeah.
So will that happen? I can't project for you. I know Brian's been telling me things have been picking up. It was stupid slow this spring.
Very slow.
It should not be like that. I don't know what was going on, but there was something going on where everybody was in wait mode. Maybe, national economics, I don't know what it is, but it seems to be picking up. And usually what you'd then see is that will maintain until we basically shut it down because of winter. And the more of that, the happier we are.
Right.
So you could add another, I don't know what to tell you, but there could be 100, 200 of that in there that happens, depending on the projects that come in. I had one project I did in Hyde Park not too long ago that was $120,000 project for one customer. It's a beautiful world. Those don't happen every day,
We done dissecting this?
I'm happy to come up with some tools to present more of like a closer fine-tuned monitor overlook, I guess, of the cash flow over the next couple of months, starting in the September meeting, just to talk about AP specifically, maybe break out exactly what is going out for AP and the relating cash flow as far as our receipts. So we can work on monitoring that, and I'll break out like customer, it's all in the ops statement that we put in the books, but it's really hard to take out, so.
It is,
Can
it
maybe
is
present
worth
them.
noting, we've been talking a lot about the cash flow issues here, but to the extent people watch this, like, we're actually projecting a net operating revenue of $318,000 for 2026 if you approve this budget. So that's a successful operation. It's the issues we've been talking about with the timing of rate cases and refunds that are creating this issue. So this is a one-time issue. It's not a fundamental foundational structural issue, is what I would want people to know. That's why it's something we gotta find our way through, and then when we get through it, we should expect it to reconcile itself. As long as we then do a smart budget again next year, right?
So
So we're looking to approve this budget tonight?
The budget and the capital plan.
Okay, the only thing I just want to do is confirm this commercial number.
Yeah, so that was a net metering, impact, and that number is actually, let me pull that up. $1.221 million
In that second.
The second column?
in the second column.
14%.
Yeah, yep,
It's 1.221,
yes.
so it's 110,000 higher.
Mm-hmm.
So that would actually make the number I just said, 428-ish thousand, not 318.
Right.
So it actually improves the bottom line. Is that right? Do you have the number there?
Yes.
Was I
428.
close? Hey,
Yes,
look at that.
you are.
Ish.
Yeah,
I always tell her I can do ish math in my
Yeah.
head.
October is a good month, October is a good receipt month. So the fact that the rate is going into effect 10/1 for October usage, then we would see that revenue reflected, in November and December.
Scott, I think your point about the fundamentals of the business is well made. What's the headline with the 541 loss in 25?
So we've spoken about that in the past. It's a combination of things from an overspend on vegetative maintenance, deferred maintenance necessary. I understand why you made the choice you made. That was the biggest one. There's also another one. There was some settlement costs and some other costs like that. What were the other ones? Were there others?
Yeah,
I know there was. There's another big one that I'm missing.
the FEMA money was being,
Oh, the FEMA money that was booked as normal
yeah,
operating
I
money.
had to adjust a couple
And
of
we had to
that,
move
and
it to
then
deferred revenue, which, so.
the uncollectible
Yeah.
adjustment that was
So,
made for.
but for those, so even just the vegetative maintenance one, you would have had a positive number,
Right,
if, but for that decision.
yeah.
So the fundamentals were fine, at normal budgeting, in that case, so that's the answer. You likely would have had a number similar to, what year is that, 2024? It would not have been identical, but it would have been more in that range, had that been not the case. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that, something that I've observed too, Miles, is looking back at the operating budget. I think in talking with staff too, there was this operational conspiracy that, I think it was a conspiracy, that you needed to fund the capital and large investment work with operating revenue. And that does not help your bottom number. Yeah, so that's a huge piece that I think was slowly shifted out in 25, but only going to improve our operating budgets and our bottom number going forward.
Would we rather adopt the budget together in one motion with the capital plan, or do those separately?
We'll do both together, Scott?
Yep.
Just curious.
They can
There's
do that.
preferences before I say it.
Doesn't matter to me. You want to say it? Okay. Just make sure you just talk about the commercial being modified. The operating, it's approved with the operating revenue for commercial adjusted 1.221.
Yeah, and I would propose that we make it contingent on the implementation of financial controls for cash management immediately.
So the only trick with that is you might create a do loop, because the bank's not gonna do financing unless they've seen a commitment to the capital plan. So if the capital plan is contingent, they're gonna say that you didn't approve the capital plan.
Well, it's contingent on an operational decision that we're making.
Correct. I might propose that you do a clean approval of the operating capital budget, and then after that, direct staff that the capital is contingent on securing financing. I think it'll be cleaner for the
Works for
bank,
me.
and I'm
Yep.
trying to get in the banker's head. Do
Yep.
you think that's right?
Yeah, I think that they're gonna look at that wording.
I think
Very
you
particular.
understand my intent.
I totally get it.
I don't,
Yeah.
Yeah, we agree with you, by the way, there's
Yep.
no light of day.
Yep.
Just want to give the bank a clean motion, that's what they
Yep.
look for. I've learned, I've had to come back and do special meetings to
Yeah.
clean up things like that before.
Michael, you got it.
Oh.
You got it. You had to
All right,
get specific.
I make a motion that we approve the budget with the changes to the commercial operating revenue to 1.221 million for a 1001 budget, which changes the net income to $428,000 in total. And at the same time, we approve the capital budget for a total amount of $1,926,000 with all the work in. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussions? All in favor? Great job, Renee.
Sorry, that was brutal for you, painful for you guys to
Yeah,
get through.
and then we want to do the next
So it's
one.
in- So it's in the minutes, she'll reflect in the minutes the expectation that we secure financing.
Is your intention
Or
as
you could
well
do a
with,
motion.
internal control for
Absolutely.
I can all- we'll
So
make
go
sure
for
that's
it.
all
Yep.
in the minutes.
Yep.
I'd second that motion.
Yeah. So we'll get in there.
It's fine, I know. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you guys.
That's a lot. She did almost all of hers.
Renee, you've got your work cut out for you. You're-
Thank you. Bear with me, you guys, I promise.
You're doing
You are,
great.
you're doing great.
And then internal control. Okay, perfect. All right, finance report?
I think that's where you're at, they're probably sitting there talking about.
I know, you're probably sick of hearing about me, yeah.
We are at the finance report.
Okay, so overall, we had a good month in June. I'm happy to report that. Let's lift ourselves up a little bit. I think that is also in part of capital or customer work picking up, but nothing significant or unusual to report for non-operating income. Customer work, like I said, has increased. Power costs actually came in below budgeted target, which was just, I love to see that happen. Current outstanding payables to VEPSA for a portion of the May CDA and all of the June CDA bill is $540,000, all of which is current and not past due. The expenses for admin in general were a bit over budget. This was only because, I don't know if you guys noticed, but we had a lot of weeks in June. So we had two, our MVP payment, dental, all of our big benefits, both payments hit in June. So that's why they're, so you'll see that wash out in July for budgeted year-to-date targets. And then overall expenses year-to-date, I liked doing this more. I think that it's a better picture of year-to-date budget to actual performance. So if you all don't want that in the report, I'm happy to take it out, but just gives a better overall picture of where we are. But everything stands in line with projections, no significant variances or areas of concern. The only area, like we mentioned previously, was vehicle and transportation expenses are already 83% expense. So we do expect to go over budget with that line item. Power production, distribution operations, and customer account, they're all currently tracking below our budgeted projections, and other accounts, administrative and customer account expenses are trending slightly above, but this is primarily due to pending audit adjustments that will be putting those expenses back in 2025.
He wired in a little bit right now, just so you
And
know.
we can talk more about that when we get our final audit report,
Okay.
but nothing to be concerned about for 2026.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good. But overall, I think we had a good month.
Couldn't tell us that sooner. when we
I
was
know, I
rushing
should have
here.
started with that.
Any other questions for Renee, or are you tired of talking about finance?
Good job, Renee.
All right, on my report, I did want to just spend a minute, because obviously we had a special meeting, and obviously there's been a newspaper article about this acquisition, so you've been asking questions about it, but we haven't kind of just hit it head on, publicly. So it's worth just noting that we've made an offer that was accepted to purchase 1868 Route 16. It's the former Moeller Tree Company. The purpose is twofold for us. One is the town has a potential use for our current office that meets a community need, and so they asked us if we would relocate our office, be willing to. And since our shop, our garage is also in a floodplain, that made sense to us operationally. We get the benefit of that, and we get our office staff commingled with our crew, which has operational benefits as well. So that facility works really well. We have 4 large vehicles. They can all fit in that building, which makes sense. The office space may not be 100% ideal the day we move in, but it's workable, and we can live in it for some period of time, figure out if there's some small addition needed. It would not be huge in my estimation. The thing to do is get in there and live with it for a while and see how it works. So overall, we think it's a really good facility. It has somewhere between an acre and an acre and a half yard up back for storing poles and transformers, all that sort of stuff that you need to have. So that's always a big thing for an operation, is to have enough room to keep that stuff, that big awkward stuff that electric utilities have and need to be able to get to easily. So it just turns out that when the town made this request, there was something on the market that made good sense for us to do. So that happened. The deposit has been made, so the offer was accepted, the deposit's made. Our attorney and their attorney are now doing the paperwork on the final documentation. There was that 14-day window, you'll remember, to get all the legal documents together, so that's all happening as we speak. As we said, we're getting a commercial appraisal of the building across the street done, so we know what it's worth, so that can be relayed to whatever the use that the town envisions. So we get reimbursed for that facility, and inspections of 1868 Route 16 are being scheduled, so all things are sort of in motion. As we said, when we actually move, we have a lot of planning to do to make that happen correctly, from these IT things we talked about earlier to the timing of when we're in the middle of AMI projects, and so can we actually upset the office staff and move them in the middle of that, or do we have to time it? So there's a lot of moving parts to this that we've got to work through to figure out when's the right time. Now, depending on the timing of what the deal the town is doing for our current office, we may get forced. But short of that, there's no real issue with us taking our time and making it work. So those are kind of the moving parts of what's going on with that facility, and at least so far, we've heard mostly good things across the community about it from what they read in the paper. So feels like there's some support for that out there from what we're hearing.
How many acres it is?
7.94 something, so 8 plus or minus. I think it's 7.94, but I could be a little off. It's something like that. You were right, of course. You were right. I'll say it louder for you. On the record.
The article in the paper was, I thought was fantastic. Thanks to Paul Fix for covering that, and it detailed many of the upsides that you've mentioned. So I appreciated the positive coverage.
Yep. So I suspect you don't have questions. we're happy to answer them if you do. I really mostly, special meetings don't capture the people, the public's attention as much, and I thought it was worth a minute here tonight to just say it again. Obviously, you've already heard this, so thanks for that. And if you have questions, happy to answer them. We're gonna get your chair to do a walkthrough soon, so.
If anybody wants to come Thursday morning, 8:30.
Yeah.
Want to make it?
I probably have to leave for my commute, but I'll think about it. I'll see if I have flexibility in the morning.
I guess we'll just show up at the building, right, 8:30?
Yep, we're just gonna be there then. Yep.
Nice.
Cool.
That's great. Thank you, Michael.
Yep. So, good stuff. Other than that, yep, go ahead.
I forgot to ask earlier, is there any precedence or mechanics that exist for the town of Hardwick or the other towns that we serve to be financiers for Hardwick Electric? I know the town maintains a reserve. I think it's actually a pretty healthy reserve.
Yep. So, these things have happened. Since we're regulated, when you do them, you want to even exercise more caution than you do with a bank. Because, then if the regulator decides that seems like an odd transaction, they may tell that town that they're never getting reimbursed. So it has been done, and it can be done correctly. You definitely would want to go get, what do they call them, 108s? A financing declaration directly from the PUC. There are lots of ways that you don't have to do that, but if I was gonna do something like that, I would definitely make the PUC bless it before we did it, so that whoever's loaning us the money was not at risk. That's the only thing I would say, but it is possible.
Is there, in the scenario in which we've exhausted our line of credit or we're getting close to
Yep.
it, I don't need to push for something that's a
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
idea, but is it potentially another lever that we would want to pull? Is it something that we want to preemptively talk to the PUC about? I'm thinking we're an entity of the town. The town's actually in a decent
Yep.
financial position
Yeah,
at the
so
moment.
there's a couple ways we could work with the town, well, that's one. The other is, and we've had some of these conversations, is with an agreement in place, perhaps where we're paying interest or something, we could also postpone certain payments we make to them as a way to free up some cash and, you know,
Would that be our
whether,
pilot?
could be the pilot, yeah.
Is that the biggest thing? I mean, are we?
Yeah, it's
Well,
paid for 26, yeah.
So I don't even know how much of that stuff we have, but I
Yeah.
know, so we could look at all those things as the
Okay.
point, as another
Our
possible.
diesel is all done through them, and that's usually like 5,000 to 6,000 a month. I mean, it's,
Oh, it's not nothing is the point.
yeah,
That's
right,
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
So we can look at those sort of things, and I have had a first conversation across the street about those sort of things.
That should be our first line of AP management.
Yeah.
Things get bad. Oh, here's one we can wait.
Yeah.
They're aware of this short-term cash crunch and have, you know, have constantly said, if there's ways we can be helpful, talk to us.
Great,
So they've been a good partner so far on that.
great.
Yep.
All right, any other business? All good? I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Done.
Thank you all.